You know that feeling when you land in a new fandom? You're super excited about a major upcoming adaptation, and then you just feel immediately overwhelmed.
Oh, completely. You're trying to connect the dots, right?
Exactly. You're scrolling through character sheets, you're watching trailer breakdowns, trying to figure out if the studio's a good fit. It's a ton of information, but all you really want is the critical context.
And that desire for clarity, that's exactly the mission for this deep dive. We've pulled together a whole stack of sources, updates, breakdowns, production announcements, and we're going to cut straight to the core of what you need to know about one of the most anticipated isekai titles on the horizon.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We are diving into hell mode. The hardcore gamer dominates in another world with garbage balancing.
Woo!
And yeah, that deliciously specific title is the first sign this isn't your standard fare. It tells you exactly who our guy is and what kind of world he's been thrown into.
That title is an immediate flag, right? For anyone in gaming culture. It's that mix of the high-skill bravado of a hardcore gamer and, well, the absolute dread of garbage balancing.
So we're going to cover the premise, we'll look at the source material, and then, crucially, we'll evaluate the creative talent bringing this thing to the screen.
Sounds like a plan.
And I guess the big question first is, when does this adventure actually start?
The key intel for your calendar, the premiere date is set for January 9, 2026.
In Japan, I assume.
Dropping in Japan, yeah. So that gives us just enough time to really understand why our protagonist's life is about to get very, very difficult.
Right. And it all begins with a heartbreak that I think any dedicated player will get immediately.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the protagonist, Yamada Kenichi.
Okay, so Kenichi is your classic, avid, I'd even say obsessive gamer. He lives and breathes his online world, pouring thousands of hours into mastering every little detail.
But his world is ending. The servers for his favorite game are shutting down for good.
And he's heartbroken. But it's more than that. It's like this huge vacuum of challenge and escapism just opens up in his life, and he needs to fill it now.
That combination of, high skill and deep despair is the perfect setup for the isekai gateway. He stumbles on what the sources call a miracle opportunity, this enigmatic new game that promises pretty much endless gameplay.
For someone who just lost their entire digital life, that's the ultimate lure.
It is.
But here's where his whole identity as a hardcore gamer really seals his fate. Kenichi doesn't pick easy mode. He doesn't even think about normal.
Of course not.
Driven by that hunger for a real challenge, he immediately clicks on the most notorious, probably impossible setting, hell mode.
He's actively seeking the most grueling experience he can find, probably assuming that even the hardest difficulty has to follow some kind of, understandable logic.
Big mistake.
A huge mistake. That choice is the inciting incident. But the consequences are what make this story so interesting. He doesn't get reincarnated as some powerful noble or chosen hero with god-tier skills.
No, he wakes up as Alan, a lowly serf.
Socially, he is at the absolute bottom, the lowest rung of the ladder.
And what about his class? He gets the elusive summoner class.
Right, and on paper, a summoner has a sky-high power ceiling. You can control monsters, spirits, powerful entities. It sounds amazing.
But, and this is the big, but what does a serf with no money, no connections, no freedom of movement do to get the rare components he needs for these complex summoning rituals?
That's the mechanical fiction right there. Being a serf means he lacks the basic resources, wealth, influence, even free time that a class like Summoner needs to flourish.
Yeah, that class probably demands expensive runes, or you have to go to specific ritual sites.
Or farm for rare monster drops. How do you farm rare drops when you're literally tied to a miserable little plot of land you don't even own?
It sets the stakes so clearly from the jump. Kenichi or Alan now has to navigate this completely uncharted territory without any guides, without an online wiki, without the strategy tips he lived by.
It is truly hell mode. You've got resource scarcity and low social standing mixed with a class that demands super high investment.
So he's forced to rely on just his core gamer instincts, his ability to optimize and find loopholes in a world that doesn't obey any video game logic.
Especially not the logic of garbage balancing. The sources really suggest his journey is less about just grinding levels and more about applying his strategic mind to a chaotic, fundamentally unfair reality.
That makes so much sense. And to really get how this works, we have to trace the story's DNA back to its origins. It's a huge series now, so where did this whole high-risk idea start?
Okay, so if we look at the source material, the light novel started on the digital platform Shosetsuka ni Naro.
Ah, Naro.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Naro is basically Japan's biggest user-generated web novel site. The story first appeared there back in November 2019.
And that's a key detail, because Naro really rewards stories with compelling hooks that grab you right away, which explains the whole plot of Hell Mode.
Exactly. And the talent that took this from a web sensation to a physical book is really noteworthy. The writing is from Hamuo, who built this complex, frustrating world.
And that's paired with illustrations by Mo, whose art really helped define the look of the characters.
The physical publication was handled by Earthstar Entertainment, under their Earthstar novel banner. And the fact that it moved from Naro to print so quickly just shows you how strong the concept was. It captured readers fast.
And lucky for us, the source is totally accessible for English readers.
It is. Yen Press has made the light novels available in both print and digital. So you can dive right in and see how Alan survives his first, miserable year as a serf.
I love the tagline Yen Press used for it. It really caught my eye.
Oh, it's so good. They describe it as level up even while offline. That's not just easy mode, that's an AFK experience.
That line is perfect. It uses gamer jargon AFK, away from keyboard, to tap into that fantasy of effortless progress.
But then, the main title, Garbage Balancing, just immediately undercuts that whole fantasy. It's like, sure, you might level up offline, but every other mechanic in this world is broken.
It's designed to be unfair.
Exactly. And when we say garbage balancing, it doesn't just mean hard. It means the rules are arbitrary. They're stacked against you. The effort you put in versus the reward you get out is completely skewed.
So Alan's struggle is unique. He knows what a balanced, well-designed game looks like.
And now he has to live in a broken one. The real conflict isn't just leveling up, it's figuring out the broken meta of his new reality.
He has to approach survival like he's debugging software, not mastering a game. That is a huge thematic weight for an anime adaptation to carry. So let's shift gears and look at the team bringing this complicated story to the screen.
For sure. Assessing the production staff is vital here.
So who's making it?
The production details actually look pretty promising. The anime is being produced by Yokohama Animation Lab.
Yokohama, okay. They're known for really clean animation, right? Often on action-heavy shows.
That's right. They've done things like Miru Tights, and even worked on parts of the Genius Prince's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt. They have experience with detailed fantasy worlds.
And who's in the director's chair?
That would be Masato Tamagawa. His previous work includes directing The Strongest Sage with the Weakest Crest.
Okay, so he's comfortable with isekai narratives, especially ones that need to show power scaling and magic systems in a very visual way.
And pairing him with Daishiro Tanimura on series composition is a smart move. Tanimura's job is to take that sprawling web novel structure and turn it into a cohesive episodic story.
Which is so important. Web novels can meander. You need a strong hand to keep the pacing tight, especially when your hero starts at rock bottom.
For sure. And we can't forget the look of the show. Character designs are by Kei Tsushima.
Tsushima is great at adapting light novel art styles for animation, making sure that initial aesthetic appeal carries over.
Right. But beyond the visuals, the casting announcements have been getting some serious buzz. And for good reason. They're bringing in some heavy hitters.
Let's spotlight the two biggest ones. First up, the character Zenof is being voiced by the one and only Akio Otsuka.
Otsuka is a powerhouse. I mean, we're talking about the voice of Solid Snake Blackjack.
He has such an iconic, authoritative voice.
And having an actor with that kind of gravitas suggests Zenof is not a minor character. He's going to carry immense narrative weight. He could be a mentor, a rival.
Or maybe a massive obstacle for Alan. That's an interesting point, actually. Does having such an established authoritative voice risk overshadowing our protagonist, Alan, the lowly serf?
That's where the counterbalance comes in. Alan's character, the ultimate underdog, will need to shine through. The sources also confirm the character Carnelle is voiced by Takahiro Miyamoto.
Ah, he often brings a sense of deep internal conflict to his roles.
Exactly. So the combination of these veteran voice actors promises some really nuanced performances that should match this high-stakes story.
So the recent trailer must have been a feast then. What did we learn about the show's mood from the music?
Well, the trailer gave us our first listen to the ending theme. It's called Sanctuary, and it's performed by Kaya.
Sanctuary.
Yeah, and the music choice is always so telling. For a series that's all about high-stakes survival, a theme called Sanctuary suggests that sense of finding a hard-won peace or, finding solace in the chaos of hell mode.
So we've got the hardcore gamer protagonist, the unfair surf life twist, a strong studio, heavy-hitting voice talent.
Yep.
And it's all locked in for January 2026.
Pretty much.
Which brings us to our final synthesis. How effectively do you think these elements can capture that struggle of a gamer mindset being thrown into a genuinely chaotic reality?
Well, if we connect this all back to the bigger picture, this adaptation seems to be transforming that standard isekai escapism into a story of hardcore survival. Kenichi, the gamer, approaches life by trying to min-max everything.
Right, minimize your inputs, maximize your outcomes, all based on the known rules.
But the world of Hell mode doesn't have a guide. That garbage balancing means he can't just look up the optimal build or find an exploit. He has to discover it all from scratch.
The appeal to avid gamers must be massive because it turns the internal strategy of playing a tough game into a literal life-or-death struggle.
It is. It mixes the suspense from his low social status with a kind of humor that comes from applying advanced gamer logic to, like, medieval problems.
It's a celebration of conquering overwhelming odds. But now those odds are systemic and political and material, not just a tough boss fight.
The story is all about resource management and adaptation when the rules are fundamentally broken. What do you do when your ultimate ability requires a regent that costs more than a serf makes in 10 years?
The core conflict isn't just, can he level up fast enough?
Exactly. It's, can he fundamentally change the rules of the world he's in through sheer strategic force of will?
That friction between the expectation of a balanced challenge and the reality of an unfair life, that's the engine of the whole plot. The adaptation has to get that dissonance right.
That's the perfect way to put it. So let's quickly consolidate all this for you. The key date, January 9, 2026.
The key twist. Gamer Kenichi becomes Alan, the lowly serf with the challenging summoner class, fighting against that garbage balancing.
And you know the core creative team, production quality from Yokohama Animation Lab, guided by director Masato Tamagawa.
And a powerful soundscape defined by key cast members, including the legendary Akio Otsuka as Zenof and Takahiro Miyamoto as Carnelle.
It's promising an adaptation that will really appeal to fans who love watching a protagonist not just gain power, but actively strategize their way out of impossible, deliberately unfair situations.
And as a final thought for you to consider as we wrap up, the core difficulty of Hell mode is that garbage balancing. Now, anime is great at showing characters getting stronger, but it often struggles to visualize broken game rules without just dumping exposition on you.
That's a very good point.
So the biggest challenge for this adaptation isn't how Masato Tamagawa will animate a fight scene, but how he will visually represent broken game mechanics, the unfair resource drops, the ridiculously high skill costs, the systemic chaos in a way that keeps the story moving forward without feeling like an audio textbook.
How much of Kenichi's hardcore gamer skill set is truly transferable to Alan's reality? That's the real question to mull over as you prepare for your own deep dive into Hell mode.